Transformative is a series of short films that try and explain the history of fashion photography as seen from the perspective of the stylist, the makeup artist and the hairdresser. You use yourself quite a bit in images I see, which I think is super interesting. Is it something are you doing it for, let me just ask you, for what reasons do you use yourself so much in your imagery?
A lot of the time it's because Josh and I are working on ideas together or something, and I'm the only person available and he's the only one with a camera. So it's just a very quick and easy way of doing something when that's the only option. And the other thing is, for example, this was something that I put up on Instagram. I think Instagram's probably been the biggest or the most useful tool for me, definitely in the last couple of years, because it's really the only place that you can curate what's presented without anyone else's interference and do it exactly as you wish for your brand or your work, whatever, to be portrayed. And so a lot of the time, I love Instagram just for the reason that you can. It's just for visuals. It doesn't have a purpose. There's no purpose for this image, and I wasn't trying to start a conversation or give a message. Again, it's just a visual thing. I thought that would look really cool, and that's really the main reason that it's just become sort of routine now between the way that, say, I work with someone like Josh, that this ends up being the canvas and he ends up taking a photo of it. Just because we can do it at sort of 8 p.m. when we've suddenly got an idea about something.
Tell me what the idea was.
The idea? I saw an illustration of this person and thought it was really cool and just wanted to do it on my face.
Would you say you were political in your work? Is your work political?
I have perhaps produced political images or commented politically, but it's never with the intention of actually voicing an opinion. And generally it's done with humour. That's something actually that I haven't even touched on with you. A massive part of my work is about humour.
It's one of my questions. So.
Oh, cool.
But we can broach it now.
So for example, just before the elections, I had some lecture set and wrote Dave on my teeth, and then the caption was Vote Tory. It was just like a dodgy smile with Dave written on the teeth. And actually that got loads of comments, and I wouldn't say whichever sort of way I'm politically inclined. It's almost it's irrelevant, really.
So you see yourself more as an agent provocateur then?
Maybe. But it definitely ended up being quite a provoking image. I even had my mum emailing me going, "Take that down, you shouldn't be politically involving yourself in any discussion." And I was like, it's a joke. I mean, it's lecture set on my teeth. So that was funny. And there was another image, I'm trying to remember which one it was of a naked black guy who was he was actually a porn star that I was shooting with Tyrone Le Bon. And we were backstage and there was a hairdressing sink, and I was like, oh, it'd be really funny. He was walking around naked. Do you fancy doing my hair in the sink? So there's a funny photo of this naked black guy doing my hair in the sink backstage. And I put that image on Instagram, and somebody really kicked off about objectification and sexualization of black people, which then started a conversation that I guess my input was, he's a porn star and he was walking around with his penis out and was very happy to smile for a photograph. But that started a conversation on Instagram, which I thought was really interesting, which is the last thing. I just thought it was a funny image. And it's funny how your work does. I think a lot of the time people think there's a political objective, and there might be an element of provocation, is that the right word, of provoking, but I'm not a preacher.
Right.
So.
But you're stirring things up a little bit. The images are provocative. They're not meant to be essentially, for a lot of people often people will find their own problems with an image.
Yeah.
So they'll have a particular hang up about a certain injustice that they feel is happening, and they'll try and spot that, or they'll pick up even images which don't have it. I remember once in the picture which I thought was an angel, and my client thought she looked like a prostitute.
Yeah.
So you have very different visions of the same thing. So I think people often find their own problems in images.
Well, the other thing is images, it's like going into an art gallery. You don't have a subtext, you don't have an annotation or whatever, a commentary that goes with the image. So people don't know what you're trying to say with something, and they'll try and do that for you. And it's sometimes interesting, and actually in hindsight, sometimes you think, oh, actually maybe I did do that for that reason, or maybe that does make sense. But I think it's way more interesting just to sort of, if there is something an idea, just to keep quiet about it and just let other people
But it does, because you now are in control of your own Instagram and your own Tumblr, doesn't mean that you have the freedom to say whatever you want and without anybody else saying, well, you can't really do that, other than your mum.
Yeah.
So you can't really do that, or so it does give you a certain amount of power.
It does.
Which I think is something that people are only just coming to terms with. That actually now, that somebody like Kim Kardashian has enormous power.
Well, it's a weird thing, isn't it? Because I was having this conversation with someone the other day about the internet and about blogging and that sort of thing. And I guess the initial conversation was kind of beauty focused and where that falls within the world of the internet. And that there's this thing. A long time ago, there was a sort of group of educated people in society that would gather information. Possibly manipulate it a bit, and then present it to the public. And they were called journalists, and media was their platform. But now, and we'd, believe them, or we'd read about it and listen to them. But now, obviously, everyone can be a journalist. Everyone can talk about contouring, and if something is on trend and it goes viral, you suddenly get this very skewed opinion or skewed perception of what public opinion is. If you have 10,000 bloggers going, you have to contour, you have to take a selfie like this, you've got to do this, you've got to do that, and it's a bit scary. And I think it's whatever your own truth is, you'll find in you won't find on the internet. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
It does give you an interesting relationship to your audience that perhaps you wouldn't have had before the internet. The other thing is, of course, normally pre-internet days, the person, that group of educated people who are presenting your work are doing so for money.
Yeah,
so they're doing it to make money for their publication or for their news channel or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So commerciality of what you do becomes a factor. It guides, shapes your work.
Yeah.
What's kind of exciting, I think, about nowadays working with the internet, and that goes on to what you're doing, is it isn't to make money. You're putting that image out not so that you can sell a print, or a gallery can sell a print for you, or that a magazine can sell more copies. You're just doing it for the love of the art.
Yeah. But then it kind of means that any sort of chump can have an opinion.
And yes, that's true.
We're still maybe not so much. I don't know. I guess it's just whether you're about how educated you are in what's going on with the internet. But people will still believe anything they read. So you can have obviously two very different opinions about something, and whether you read one or the other will just. It's probably like a bit of a bumpy, long conversation about the internet and stuff, but I get asked about it a lot, I suppose.
Because you just been signed by Saint Laurent, is that correct? Yeah. You're the ambassador for Great Britain, is that right? Is that the correct way of putting it?
Yeah, that's right.
Which is a real acknowledgement from one of the big established brands. To put the sort of weight, the corporate weight behind you. If you want. Does that come with restrictions?
Actually, they're very. They're so supportive, and I guess that was the reason why I felt very happy to sort of be affiliated with them. Yeah. And the UK team's lovely, and they love the kind of weirder stuff that I do. and have never asked me to, if anything, said, you know, carry on, do more.
Yeah.
I guess if you're a brand, you know, and you'd like to kind of be edgy, it's much easier to do that through something else, you know, rather than do it yourself, you know, or affiliate yourself with something else. It's about relationships, isn't it, and collaborations. And I think maybe that's worked in two ways there. I feel really grateful that they are supportive, because I really feel like that's a bit of an acknowledgement.
Yeah.
And I think on their side, they're also they have their own things that they need to achieve, or they would like to achieve as a brand. And it's helpful to have somebody who is works in a particular way to be affiliated with them. It's sort of a mutual. Yeah. And it's actually really fun because they are a YSL, like any of the big fashion labels, a commercial brand, and that throws up really interesting challenges for me, which I love. You know.
So are they? You don't have to tell me if it's secretive, but are they asking you to develop products for them, or? No,
they have a product developer who's, I love what he does actually, Lloyd Simmons. Yeah. So he does all their product development, and my role, I guess, is a lot more kind of creative, editorially. Yeah. So, or you know, doing how-tos or PR things, talking about products. Right. Which is really nice for me, because it's something that I have never done before, and I'm learning a lot, and also actually learning a lot about how you know, a big brand works as well. And
so, how long have you been working?
When
did you start? When was the Matthew Stone shoot?
The Matthew Stone shoot was maybe 2012. Right. I think.
Because I remember you coming to the show studio for Claire Barrow.
When was that?
About 2011.
Was it 2011?
I think so, yeah. I'll go back and check. Oh, it's around that sort of time, I guess.
Maybe it's 2011 then. I'm trying to remember when I joined my first agency, and how old I was. I guess probably about 22, 21, 22. Because I guess when I think of myself as like becoming a makeup artist is when I joined my first agency. Right. Because when I did the Matthew Stone thing, I was still doing other things. Yeah. Makeup wasn't my main concern at all. It was just, this sounds really fun. I'll join you on the shoot. So I guess probably about 5 years. Right. I think. Yeah. It's probably a good.
Do you feel now? Do you get some sense that you're becoming somebody in their own right? So that you aren't just somebody who's, this is not I'm just groping for the word, but not chancing it, but somebody who's doing it because they enjoy it, but might never come to anything. Do you now feeling actually this is what I want to do, and I'm on my course, or I'm on my, I'm quite interested if you feel satisfied with what you're doing.
Yeah, I feel very satisfied. Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah. I'm still doing it because I still find it fulfilling. Right. And I think the moment I stop, I'll just do something else. Right. I'm not worried about that. I just think so far, I've just done what's felt right at the time and felt good. Yeah. And so far, you know, this is just one creative door opening another. Yeah. And actually, for example, I'm doing a footwear collaboration now with a brand called Camper.
Oh, right, yeah, no, yeah.
And other projects, and I don't feel like anything's overcrowding another. For me, it's still about just making visuals, really. I just happen to be doing makeup most of the time. Yeah. Yeah.
So this is going to sound like the last question of the interview, which it's not, because I still have no picture I want to talk to you about. But where do you see yourself in, say, 10 years' time, 20 years' time? Do you have any desired ideas?
I'd quite like to make films, I suppose.
Good.
Yeah, that's what I want to do.